Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you in part by our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Vanta Trading. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and with a new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker now available, it's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than tradeproacademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for anyone trading futures, check out vantatrading.com. Founded by Mr. W. Banks and Baba Yaga, they provide a ton of educational content with the focus of teaching aspiring traders how to build a repeatable, profitable process. Our exclusive discount code for Vanta can also be found in our free Discord server. We'll have all of those links and more in the episode description. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the China Shop. I'm your host, Kyle, and joining me for today's conversation is the beguiling, benevolent Baba Yaga, co-founder of Vanta Trading. How are you doing today, Baba?
I'm good. Is that how people say it, Vanta?
Is that how we're supposed to say it?
I don't know. Actually don't know how it's supposed to be said. I just looked up the word and thought it was a cool definition. And I say Vanta, but that's probably because I'm from below the middle of our country. So
yeah, I wonder if that's just like because it looks almost like Italian or Spanish.
It probably is. It's a paint coating is the reference. So
oh, really?
Yeah. Kyle, you haven't read our intro to the website, man?
I did, but I don't remember seeing that part. I gotta pull it back up now. Hang on a second. Where's it?
It's okay. I won't hold it against you.
Where is it? Where is it? Oh, very black. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I was too busy reading about you two.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But yeah, it's apparently the BMW or somebody painted a car that color, and there's photos online of it at nighttime, and it's shocking. If the lights are off, it's literally invisible.
Is this that color that's like the blackest color? Like like they make that room that they paint in this?
Yeah,
you can go in.
Yeah.
It's like sensory deprivation.
Yeah, and people like kind of go crazy after 30 minutes. I think
right.
that's the play. That's the play, or that's the color. That's it.
So what does that mean? People who join go a little nuts or stir crazy in the.
I was more going for like when a company is in the black, they're considered profitable.
As black as it can be.
Yeah, so we're trying to be in the black. That's the goal.
I like it. All right, let me get through the rest of this read here, and then we can dive into today's discussion.
Sounds great.
So I'd like to just take a quick moment to say thank you to our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Orderflow Labs. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And with that new and improved 2.0 version of the Weed Whacker available, now's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. When it comes to institutional quality trading education, look no further than tradeproacademy.com. They've just also updated their futures course with a whole new segment that I'll be diving into here soon. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for all you degenerates who enjoy trading futures, you'll definitely want to check out the custom tools and studies over at Orderflow Labs. If you want to learn more about Baba Yaga, you can check him out on Twitter at BabaYaga_trades, or you can visit that website we were talking about at vantatrading.com. That's VANTA trading.com, all one word. Lastly, be sure to reach out with your suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests. You can do that via email at 2bulls at financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. All of those links will be in the episode description. Now that we got all the boring business stuff out of the way, we can dive into today's discussion and learn more about Baba. So Baba, why don't you kind of just tell us how you got started in the markets in general and kind of the path that your path to profitability, we'll call it.
Yeah, it's a long story, but we'll take it in parts. So Um, I I've been trading for not probably, for about 7 years, 8 years,
Hmm.
and honestly, that is kind of like just a guesstimate. I don't really remember like the date or the exact year. I remember which house we lived in,
Hmm.
my wife and I, and we didn't have children at the time. So, or we had
So
one
that's a
child.
pretty good
Yeah,
measuring
yeah,
stick.
we had one child at the time. So yeah, that gets me in the ballpark. But
Yeah, yeah.
what happened is a friend of mine who was in nursing school sent me a random message, and he was like, "Hey man, did you know there's this app called Robinhood?" I know, shame on me. Okay, everyone can shame me.
Well, it's 7 years ago. It's okay.
Do I?
It's okay. It was 7 years ago, give or take.
Yeah,
So
it was
I
a
think
long time
that's
ago.
okay. Yeah.
But and I was like, what is Robinhood? And he's like, oh, you can trade, dude, and there's no commissions. And I was like, huh, trading. And I didn't know much about anything really. And I was like, oh, interesting. And like probably like a lot of people, you think, oh, I'm pretty smart. I can figure this out. And so not like famous last words, right?
Right,
So
right.
he was like, I've been trading, get this. He's like, I've been trading biotech stocks, like small companies that are fixing to release PRs or get approved for stuff. And I've made
Hmm.
money. He sounded like an infomercial. And he was
Right,
like, here's a link if you sign up. And of course, it was like, if you refer a friend, each one of you get like, I don't know what it was, like $20 or something.
right.
And I was like, oh, let's give it a whirl. And so downloaded that. We flurry of text messages back and forth about different companies. And one thing about me that's I guess is a benefit and a drawback is I can kind of hyperfixate on things
Oh,
and get really tunnel visioned. And so that kind of started to happen with the idea of making very small money with Robinhood and these press releases and all this. So I nerded out on that.
it's kind of funny because Eric Smolinski and I, we do the Wednesday updates, and we were just talking about both of our tendencies to do that and things that we're interested in. Like everything else becomes noise, and you just zero in on the thing that you want to learn until you've learned it.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Um,
But it's almost kind of like a necessary trait to be able to be successful in this field, I think.
I think so. I think that you've got that, and then you've got the people that are prone to like the slow grind. Like there's a guy that I've been talking to
Hmm.
recently, and I might get him to do a video or like one of the little like learning sessions with new traders that
Yeah.
I did with CB the other day. I might get him on one of this other guy on one of them maybe, but he's the opposite as far as like he has this really long term plan. He wants to do one thing every day to help benefit his trading. He's not in a hurry. He's not trading big size. He has like a 5 year plan. So I think you have those like hyperfixate, figure it out today people that do well. And then I think the other category that do well are the people who really are like very structured and long term runway with it. And then I think the people that get killed are the people in the middle,
What
just kind of toy with it.
Well, when I think back on what you just said and look back at my journey, I think I started with the hyperfixation. That's what got me hooked. And it wasn't until I started trying to change my approach to more like your friends, like the grind. Like once you realize that, hey, this is not something I'm going to figure out tomorrow, I need a plan to be able to do this and grow consistently. Like until I made that realization, I think I would have just been spinning my wheels, jumping from flower to flower.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I think there's like a maturation process, if that's the right word. It sounds good,
Yeah,
anyways.
that works,
That
I think.
that comes along with everyone's journey, and it has to. It's inevitable to to long term success. But in the early days, it was helpful because I would hyperfixate and read a bunch of stuff, learn trying to learn stuff, and what it did is expedite the process through all
Hmm.
the stuff that's a waste of time. Which I would like watch all these videos, like probably everyone else, read stuff, listen to what people said, and then I'm like, I'm trying to do what you just said, and this isn't working. So you're and pretty quickly, I just developed this attitude that anything that was out there probably sucked, which is, I mean, it'll keep you safe. I'll say that much, but it's not exactly true.
No,
Um,
no, but you got to be able to tell.
yeah,
You got to get yourself to a point where you can tell what's fake and what's real.
Yeah, and for me, it was just trial and error, right? Like I would put the lines on my chart from Magic Guy's video, and then it doesn't work.
Right,
I'm like, well,
right.
okay, this guy's an idiot. And that continued for a while, just playing with Robinhood, and then I don't really know how long, and then I had some success. I would say like in the hundreds of dollars, and wasn't consistent at all, but had a few trades work out, and I was like, okay, I think I'm kind of getting the hang of this. So of course, what do? You get a real brokerage account,
Yeah,
and for me, that was going. I don't know. Well, none of my real contact info's in here,
no,
so
no,
I don't
no.
know. I don't know if it was illegal or not. I don't think it was, but so I set up an account with some offshore brokerage, right? That like offered like 50 to 1 leverage on and small caps and really whatever you wanted to trade through like 1,000, 2,000 bucks in there, and I was like, time to retire, baby, and immediately took out like max leverage short position on a Friday afternoon, and I think I got fairly wrecked on that one, but I started to like develop a little bit of a plan at that point of like if I could find something that had been running a lot during the week, a small cap on like terrible news or
Hmm.
like on news, but with no real meat behind it, that a lot of times that profit taking would happen. And that became kind of like a thing that I was going for is those late day Friday dump sessions. So, yep.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
Obviously, I'm not still doing it, so it wasn't the most consistent plan, but at least I had somewhat of a plan.
no, it was, yeah, it was something that was based off of observation too, and I think that's one of the hardest things to get new traders to spend the time doing. You got to stare at the charts for a while
Yep.
and start to recognize patterns, and then you got to start to explore those patterns and see if there's something there or not.
Yeah, I mean, managing risk wasn't really a thing.
No,
Um,
no,
None of that was a thing. I had no plan, like no real exit, just how much could I make? No plan for if that wasn't going to work or where was I going to be wrong. None of that kind of stuff was a part
nope.
of it. That all came later, but I did have so I had, some bad days, some good days, all the while just realizing though that there was potential because if I
Hmm.
was making, let's say I made, 700 bucks or 500 bucks, and it was, it would oftentimes happen fairly quick, and I thought, wow, if I could actually get better at figuring out what is catalytic and what is noise, like, and differentiate the two,
Hmm.
then the opportunity to make reasonable money is definitely right here at my fingertips. And and that was a breakaway from what I had traditionally, I would say, like, done to make money.
Hmm.
Growing up, I grew up in uh, I would say lower middle class to upper lower class family, and um, not because of my parents not having great work ethic or whatever. It was just the family that I was born into, and I love my parents, and they set a lot of great examples, and one of the main ones was you have to work hard, and my dad was a super hard worker. Was always like the figure it out and fix it yourself kind of family.
Hmm.
And a lot of those values like carried over into trading. But that change that happened was normally, like, growing up, I would go work in someone's yard to make extra money. Or in high school, I was actually with my parents this weekend. My dad and I were driving and reliving like all these random jobs that I had growing up, like all these random ways I made money. He just laughed. Like some of them were real labor intensive, like hanging siding on a house with like
Oh
a
yeah.
crew of like adult men who were alcoholics and didn't have a license. And I was like 16 and could drive, so I would pick my then boss up for work, like
Because he
on a
probably had a
Saturday morning.
DUI.
Yeah, because he had DUIs and couldn't drive, and
Yeah.
like he would pay me an extra $10 to pick him up for work and take him home on a Saturday and stuff. Like, it was weird, but it was always working a bunch of hours, working really hard for a lot of hours to make money. And the
Hmm.
cool thing about trading was, yes, there was a lot of studying, and I was still really bad at it. But the idea that my 1 hour didn't necessarily equal $10 or $15, but like the 1 hour could equal plus 700 or minus $700, which is really
Right.
volatile, but the potential was there. And so that was really like a shift for me. I had always been sort of entrepreneurial, um, but moving into trading and taking it a little more seriously, even like I was probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I'd say. um, that was a pretty cool switch that flipped. That really motivated me, I would say.
Are you a full time trader now at this point, or do you still carry a day job just to not have to rely on this 100%?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So as of right now, I do technically have a day job, although it is flexible, and um, I'm not exactly, you know, it's not a physically, like, it's not a labor job or
Right.
anything like that. So I'm not exactly trading my time for money in that one to one sense anymore. But it's fairly rewarding, and I enjoy a lot of a lot of what I do. So and it doesn't conflict.
That was always my dream, was that I'd be able to not work the jobs that paid well anymore because I hated them,
Mm,
but be able to go and pursue something else that I do find interesting and fun and supplement that with the trading.
yeah, yeah. So like the cool thing is like, and it's in the bio on the website as well, but like creative problem solving,
Hmm.
and measurable like metrics for improvement and stuff like that. Really, like I have a knack for that. I enjoy that. It doesn't feel like work, and so being that that is a part of the kind of work that I do, it's I mean it's super fun. And what would be a dream, and this is something my wife and I have talked about, is like walking into my job and saying, "Hey, you guys don't have to pay me anymore. I'll keep coming in, maybe like half the amount of hours, but I would still love to be a part of what we do and what's going on. But don't worry about paying me anything. I'd like to still, you
Like
know,
to just volunteer, basically.
yeah, I'd like to kind of like, yeah. I mean, one day,
Right.
as I get a little bit older and whatever, I think that would be a really cool thing. I don't know if they would go for that, but that would be neat.
Yeah, there might be some legal repercussions to something like that, but
Yeah, I have to figure it out. I'd just be a really steady, consistent volunteer. Call it an
yeah,
internship,
there you go.
whatever. But yeah, like we actually had a pretty serious talk about full time trading back at the end of last year. My wife and I, and we kind of came to the decision to not make the full migration to that,
Hmm.
you know partly just because like we don't have to, like there's no reason to,
Right.
other than some additional flexibility, and also some additional risk that my whole family would be relying on my trading, which I'm in some ways I'm fine with, but in other ways I'm sure that would add a measure of pressure that I haven't felt. And for me, managing stress and managing like my emotions is a big part of being
Yep.
successful, and that's why I've enjoyed all the Rich Friesen stuff. And geez, that's been unbelievable that you guys have done
Oh,
that.
I feel so lucky to have met him early on.
Dude, he is a gem.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, what would that added stress do or make me feel, and and how long would it feel different before it felt normal? And that kind of stuff I think those are the real things that would, um, be challenging. I mean, I
If
do the same thing every day, the same way when I do my prep work. Like, I mean, you've seen it.
right, yeah.
Like it's the same. It's literally, it's just so repetitive. But it's also been finessed and tooled down to exactly what helps me make decisions, and not just what helps me make a decision, but like what are the few things that would help me make a great decision. And so, in some ways, I think like if I was full time and everything depended on this, it wouldn't really change anything.
You might be forcing those, but yeah, you might.
But it
Yeah.
might, yeah, it might make me kind of freak out a little bit. So I don't know. With all the statistics that we have now, with like all the cool ways to pull stats and everything, like I know which days, like intuitively, I like to press.
Uh-huh.
I know which days I don't. So I mean, how would all that be affected? I don't know. And so since there was no pressure to do it, we're like, yeah, we'll just keep rocking. Like trade the open. Commit 45 minutes or so to the room at least in the mornings, or actually it ends up being more like an hour and 15 minutes because,
Oh, you guys are usually on there all day, it seems like.
well, I mean, I'm on with a headset doing other stuff a lot of times
Ah,
after I make my trade. Like I'll throw on my earbuds, and just connect through my phone, and I'll be out and about or doing my normal work or whatever. But that 9 a.m. to 10 or 10-15. We're usually pretty locked in for sure on that. But um, yeah, so work ethic and working hard and the change of pace from I'll go work really hard in someone's yard
Hmm.
to um, I can click a button and make money. That is really what started to push me towards taking everything a lot more seriously. Um, and I was in a random Discord room with a guy. He was pretty sharp, actually. Like thinking back on it, he was definitely over leveraged and was not willing to say he was wrong as quickly as he should. But he had a lot of capital apparently. So I learned some stuff from that guy. I don't really actually remember his name, but
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, like being over leveraged. Like there's a thought that you have to find somebody who's like the best to go learn from, but you don't have to necessarily learn from the best. You can learn from somebody who knows more than you.
yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I don't. We had this conversation the other day over
Oh
Discord. You
yeah.
and I did, I think, about like somebody said something about like being a guru or being a furu or
Oh.
whatever, and I was just like, yeah, okay, well, that's definitely not me. So that's I consider myself someone who has fine tuned a process that is dependable and can create probabilistic returns with a positive expected value over a large enough sample size,
Hmm.
and that's about it. Like,
That's really all you can ask for, though, right?
yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal. I think everyone wants to be 10 foot tall, bulletproof, trade 500 lots in one single order, and make $1 million a day. But
Everyone says they do, but
well, I can tell you the stress of that would be
uh-huh.
insurmountable
I
for
I
me.
already stress out having like 5 micros on ES. I can't imagine
Yeah,
having
I mean,
500 of those micros, let alone
yeah,
minis.
yeah, and two, like, I mean, for anyone that's like figuring out position sizing and all that, like, dude, the brokers are going to give you enough rope to hang yourself like 5 times. So, like, don't think just because you can take a certain position size that you should. Like, I mean, I could take. I don't actually even know how many lots I could trade, but I can promise you that I'm not within 70% of that. Like I'm not within, I'm trading in the very small amount
What's the
compared to what I
margin? I think the margin requirements are $400 for a mini contract right now,
Okay, yeah. So, well,
and
I mean, I could do some quick math, but
$50 a
yeah.
point.
Yeah, I'm not yeah, I'm not trading close to what my
No.
margin would allow me to, but I think and that's another thing. Like we kind of bounced it around a little bit from the story to like today, but one of the things that actually really uncorked my ability to stay in a trade that's a good trade that should stay in and begin to move from trading very scalp esque type trades to bigger rotations of the market came when I sized down and was like, let me just learn what it feels like to sit in this for a while. Let me just get
Ah.
get the feeling of taking a trade for more than 15 points. Let me and not worry about the profit, not worry about losses because I'm trading like I think when I switched, I was trading like 3 micros on NQ.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm just gonna trade 3 micros and try to go 20, 40, 60 and see if I can do that.
Yeah.
Like on my targets. And then it was like, then that informed my strategy and my entries because for a trade to have that type of potential, or let's say a 60-point potential, then you have to be entering in a pretty sharp part of the market. Well, before the market went insane, but traditionally you have to be entering in a pretty sharp part of the market that is truly, I would say, like an inflection point or a sharp corner, and or like a pullback on a trend day or whatever. But being able to identify those things, and then get the feeling of being in a trade for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever.
That's so funny that you mentioned that too, because I think that was another key point for me, or key turning point in my journey, was the realization that I don't have to scalp 2 points at a time. I think it was when I was actually talking with Flary when we were doing the prep for the Back to the Futures episodes, and he was looking at the numbers. I was showing him my stats, and he's like, "Okay, looks like you got something here. You got good levels. Price likes to go from level to level," is the phrase that he used. He said, but he looked at my
Mm-hmm.
risk to reward, or my profit factor, and said that did not look like it matched the win rates. And
Yeah. No,
it wasn't until I started looking at that, and I did not know how much I was handcuffing myself by cutting positions too early.
yeah, dude. I mean, if you and this, I would say it goes back to stress as well. Like, I I don't know. I guess there's different schools of thought about it, but like for me, I don't like trading. I don't want it. It's if it feels stressful. You probably heard me say this before. Like if it feels stressful, if it feels hard. Another way I would say it is if it feels like you're arguing.
Ah,
Like when you're in like a deep argument or a pretty heated discussion with someone about something,
right.
just emotionally how you kind of start to feel a little drained and kind of like, God, is this going to go on like this forever? And like those thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, if I if I feel that at all when I'm trading, like that's the first like, thank you, Rich Friesen. I'm sure he'll hear this. I'm just kidding, but like that's the first before my P&L changes, before I start doing stupid stuff with my orders. That feeling, I feel that, and I've learned to be so quick to notice it and be like, "Oop, okay, time to change and be defensive and kind of go ahead and get finished here with whatever's happening, whatever's making me feel this way,
Hmm.
whatever's eliciting that kind of response, because only bad things follow that for me. Like only bad habits follow that,
Right.
only bad
Right.
decisions. Like it's all tied into like that feeling I start to have, and I'm super thankful that I've been able to uh, like recognize that and be quick to like identify it in a moment and be like, even though I can look at my chart and see the next levels coming and the areas I have of interest marked out before the market, I'm feeling that way, then it's informative for how I will trade or if I will trade at all for the remainder of that day. So
What did you do to help you identify that?
I made a lot of mistakes. Part of it was coincided a couple years ago. Yeah, a few years ago, a couple years ago with the sizing down
Hmm.
exercise, because once I sized down, the trades didn't matter. I wasn't going to make that much money, even uh, at 20, 40, 60. I mean, you're making 120
Right.
points, like you're making $240. Like, ooh, like I mean, what like that's not make or break money. Like
Yeah.
that's good money for a day. Like, hey, you do that all year long, it's a great side hustle. But if I lost a trade, I was only losing 35 points, 30 points.
Right. A small fraction of your account.
Yeah, $60. Like that bracket ends up being a 2 to 1,
Hmm.
so that helped me sharpen um like some of my entries, because you need to be a little better than 50% to not just break even and churn your wheels. So even in those small numbers, I was real competitive with myself. Um but even when I was trading, I started to realize I never felt that way.
Hmm.
Like I never had those feelings when I'm trading tiny size. And so as I started to size up, I started to have these moments where it was, and Rich Friesen talks about this. And it was only after hearing all of that I had like better language to describe what was happening. But, like I would start to make foolish decisions when I started to feel those emotions.
Uh-huh.
And then I would start to size up. And then, he talks about most of the traders that come to him have a P&L that's up and to the right and then completely tanks like in a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. Or sometimes one trade.
Yeah, and so that was the pattern I had grown into. So prior to that, my P&L was like big zigzags, like make a bunch of money, lose a bunch of money, make a bunch of money, lose a bunch of money.
Uh-huh.
Literally make, I make a 5-figure day and then lose a 5-figure day the next day.
Oof.
Okay, so like that's not fun.
No.
And that only that I mean that it's not like it was happening all the time, but like that was so stressful, right? So I was acutely aware of what that stress felt like, or
Hmm.
even 4 figures, like even a grand, make a grand, lose a grand, like that's terribly difficult on the emotions. So fast forward, I did that size down thing, and then as I added size back, I started to have the long, slow grinds up that was healthy, or not even really slow, like pretty making, decent returns. And then I would get into a trade. I wouldn't want to admit I was wrong. And then boom, like add to a position, and end up having to cut it
Uh-huh.
and lose, 40% of what I had made. I started just to have awareness about, I started to just like type out some stuff. I mean, talking to Flary through the years was helpful. Some other guys were super helpful with some of that. But I started to realize that before the P&L blew up, there was some feelings that I was having that I had a break from for a little while when I was trading small. And
Mm-hmm.
that began to kind of orient me like, oh, anytime I start feeling like this, like a do or die, it's all on the line. We got to make this work. I'm not going to trade well. And I was making many more decisions than my capacity, like my mental uh,
Right. Right.
rigor could support at that time as well. Because while I had began to develop that like sharp corner of the market, let's take this trade for a little bit more, I would oftentimes like add to that trade. As I started to add size, I would add to it in bad spots. That's where like in the Discord we used to joke around about like a good ad will ruin a great trade. Like I learned that firsthand over the course of a number of months.
Yeah.
So I would say that was the process though. That was like how I became aware of it, was just not feeling it for a while, and then how destructive it was when I did feel it.
And then it suddenly comes back. That's
Yeah.
so cool. That gives you a blueprint for how to increase your size too. If you've stepped back to the point where you don't feel those emotions, but there's a threshold where when the size gets to that point, it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you know how far you can push that. You can push it to where it's just a little bit or on the edge of discomfort
Yeah.
and let that feel normal, like you'd said earlier.
Yeah. And I would say like now on the first inkling of that emotion, or the first feeling I have that's in that vein of what usually leads to destruction,
Mm-hmm.
I at the very first inkling of that, I'll just be aware of it, and I'll like sometimes even say it out loud to myself, like
Yeah.
I'll say like you're starting to feel the way you feel before you make a mess. So let's stay sharp and let's make wise decisions. And then let's lean on. And I have on my desk written out, which I don't know where I got this from. I wish I could remember, but it's a note card. I have it written out, and it stays on my desk all the time. It says, "Do not allow your emotions to lead you. Emotions are terrible leaders. Rely on your training and logic." And actually, I just remembered where I got it from a Navy SEAL talking about a battle scenario that played out, and the way that two of the commanding officers responded, and one responded with emotions and one responded with training and logic, and
Uh-huh.
how everyone in the platoons rallied under the guy who was not responding with emotions. And I was like, dude, that's the emotions present themselves, and then I begin to like define everything through that lens. And so I wouldn't say that like I'm bulletproof or anything like that, but at this point in the journey now, as soon as I feel it, I can just identify like that's my emotions that they're trying to like run in there and make a mess. and
Right.
and so let's rely on the work that we've already done. Let's honor the integrity of ourselves and the work ethic of myself by trusting the work that I've put in and the levels I've identified, and let's make ourselves press into that, instead of the emotions.
The image that comes to my mind when you talk about leading by emotions or leading by trading is the gunfight scene at the very end of Unforgiven.
Oh, Unforgiven! I don't even know if I know that movie. Now you're really
Really?
gonna hate me.
Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman.
I don't know.
Well,
I'll put it on. I'll
I'll
watch it.
I'll just kind of walk you through like the gist of it, like the scene. Like Clint Eastwood's character is like standing still. He's calm. He's the only one who's looking, slowly pulling his gun up, pointing at who he wants to shoot, squeezing the trigger, then moving to the next target. And everybody else is frantically firing their weapons. And guess who's the only one who walks out of there alive?
Yeah. That's a great mental image
Yeah.
of that part of it. Yeah.
Ooh, I'll have to see if I can find a link for that to throw in the episode description.
Yeah, and let me say this, because there's two other things that were a big part of I would say like the confidence. Like, yes, there were some structural like changes I had to make to my trading, and I had to learn some stuff in my pre-market work
Mm-hmm.
and develop skills, and that's all a big part of it. Um, but it was I'm gonna guesstimate a time frame, say 4 years ago, 3.5, 4.5 years ago. I was in a lot of the time frame runs together, but we'll call it 4 years ago.
Okay.
I had some success, had sized down, had traded. I actually did that exercise twice because I did it after this event as well. I went back. Um, but I had just gotten into a tough spot with trading, and I was pushing so hard because I had realized some measure of success, and not just like a little bit of money, but like enough that like I was like, man, this could be cool, you know.
Yeah.
And
The gold rush fever almost,
yeah,
right?
started pushing a
Yeah.
little bit, kind of started feeling like I really figured this thing out, you know, and that always precedes a
Yep.
real
Yep.
mess. So just another note to
That's a red flag for me
yeah,
whenever I feel like I've got it figured out. Like, okay, I need
yeah,
to stop and take a break.
yeah. It's like if there's a difference in I've got the market figured out and I've got my process figured out. So
Yes.
like
Yes.
I've got my process really figured out. I don't have the market figured out.
But that also, when you have that mentality too, that stops you from ever improving. And I don't think you can ever stop looking to tweak or make the adjustments or adapting it
Yeah, it's
because
that.
nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, Flary talked about this in one of his things with you guys about guarding the process
Yes. Yes.
and bringing stuff in, and that is really a balancing act. Like I brought in a new thing into the way I look at stuff few months ago.
Uh-huh.
Just another tool to reference, just another way to view things. But I also played around with it for a month and a half before I was ever going to take a trade or even include it in the work that I do.
Right. Right.
So yeah, definitely when I say figured out, I mean, at this point, I know what I look at to help me make decisions, but that is a fluid thing. In some sense, you're always developing and learning. Yep.
The process is how you also includes how you add and change your
Yep.
setups and
Oh yeah.
strategies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Hey everyone, Future Kyle here, introducing a quick sneak peek of my upcoming conversation with Vanta Trading's Baba Yaga.
I consider myself someone who has fine-tuned a process that is dependable and can create probabilistic returns with a positive expected value over a large enough sample size, and that's about it. Like,
That's really all you can ask for, though, right?
yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal. I think everyone wants to be 10 foot tall, bulletproof, trade 500 lots in one single order, and make $1 million a day. But
Everyone says they do, but
well, I can tell you the stress of that would be
uh-huh.
insurmountable for me.
Full conversation will be available on April 10th. If you haven't heard by now, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code 2bulls for 20% off and free shipping. Goddamn, I was going to make that joke. Our friends over at Manscaped were kind enough to send me the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, and I gotta say, I was impressed with the quality and performance of the products. My thick, coarse beard hair has been giving me trouble with trimmers in the past, but the Beard Hedger was able to cut through the thicket without any tugging or discomfort at all. And because the trimmer has one rotary wheel with 20 length settings with only one guard, I don't have to worry about losing or breaking attachments anymore. So I've tamed my mane, and now you can too. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to your stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with that beard hedger that I mentioned. The thing's a juggernaut of fixing faces. Not only does it have the trimmer with the rotary wheel that gives you the 20 hair cutting lengths on just the one guard, it's also waterproof so you can shave in the shower and avoid all the hair in the sink. The titanium coated T-blade is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to a single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. Phrasing. The Pro Kit doesn't end there though. They also created 4 dermatologist tested formulations for your post-trim care. First is the beard shampoo and conditioner. Gotta remember that all your hair is different. Beard hair, as I mentioned, is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head, if you have hair on your head. That's why the kit has made shampoo and conditioner specially designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, replace natural oils, and promote beard health. Next, the kit has Manscaped's Beard Oil, an essential piece for your main facial accessory. No one wants a guy whose beard is brittle and dry. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath while adding a little shimmer and shine, which makes you look extra fine. Cap off the kit with the Beard Balm, a pomade that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look to attract any fellows or dames. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 free gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2bulls at manscaped.com. And of course, that's the number 2. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using code 2bulls. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
But I was in a tough spot, dude. I don't know, this might take away my furu credibility or whatever, but like we've talked about, I don't care about that at all. Like I don't really believe in any of that. Or at least I don't.
We're all just trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to make it. And even the people that are doing like the big Lambo rental, this is my car, this is my mansion, like, I mean, they're still trying to figure it out too. Like, so whatever. They're just taking a really weird approach in my opinion. But
yeah.
So I was basically like I was down to where like I was gonna have to stop trading. Like it was hard. Like my wife was not really digging it, rightfully so. Like I'd given her nothing really to believe in because it was such a roller coaster, even after the exercise and all that, in smaller trading, and then sizing back up, and then kind of saying like, look at how things are going, look at this, and starting to speak about the future in more certain terms than I really should have. Got into some crappy positions, tried to add to them, tried to do whatever. Just got demolished.
Good old friend Martingale, huh?
Yeah, man. So I was like, man, my account's squashed, and I don't even have the flexibility in my personal finance to like do one of these funding things or anything. Like I am not going to be able to sit down with my wife and say, hey, I need like $500. I'm going to fire up this test out account thing. She would have been like, you've lost your mind. And over the years I'd met different people. One person that I just had clicked with and we'd been talking all the time and we're always bouncing strategies off each other, was Banks, the guy that I do Vanta with. And so I called him, dude. I was like, we can just be real. I was like, had just finished crying in my garage. Okay.
Wow.
Like just realizing that it felt like the death of something that I killed.
Death of a dream, right?
Yeah. Like something I killed that I didn't really have to. I just pushed too hard, too fast. And I called him just to say like, hey, I'll still talk to you about trading and stuff. And I'll still like help with strategy and think through things. Cause we've been like, always tinkering with stuff, always trying to learn together. And he I would say he's always been a little bit ahead of me. And it's mainly because he's such a good risk manager, which, is in part the name of the game.
He works at a bank, right? So he's got a bit of a leg up.
Yeah. He's kind of got an advantage just built in right off the bat when it comes to risk. He's not a big risk taker, but it's funny because I say that he trades bigger size than I do, and it's hilarious.
Isn't that fun? I was just thinking, like, you'd think that I would have good risk management skills working in a steel mill, because you gotta constantly assess whether you can do a job safely or not. You gotta assess that risk.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe it kind of hurts you when the thought process or the thing that you're always taught in those industries is that money is not important. Your health and your life is.
Right. And you're not gambling your health on a trade, or your life. Yeah.
Exactly. It's only money. It's just a little bit of money.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I think that might have set me back a little bit in my journey.
Yeah. No, I could totally see that. That's very interesting because you kind of don't really infer the money as the thing to protect or defend as much as like your life or your well-being when it comes to like the steel mill stuff.
I'm ashamed to say it took probably at least a good year or two before that lesson even sank in that I needed to even have a plan to manage risk.
Yeah, no, same, dude, bro. Yeah, this is a 7-year story or whatever of 3.5 years of success.
But did you also kickstart your journey with a podcast where you had experts telling you how important risk management was?
No, I didn't do that. I was just all
Yeah.
by myself. Just
Yeah.
me and Banks, and
Yep.
him saying, you don't have to trade that big, or why don't you take some profit or whatever. So even today, hey, this is funny. So even today, even today, like 2 day earlier, I was in a trade. I was in a short from a good position. I'm not going to talk about it because then it's the Furui stuff. But you can look
Yeah.
in Discord and see the screenshots for the trade. And I was saying I'm going to hold this runner to a specific. I said I was going to hold the runner till the close, which would have been pretty saucy. But I was talking to Banks on the phone, and he said, "Well, where are you at?" And I said, "I'm up like 100 and I don't know. I think it was maybe 105, 107 points. It had been up as much as like 130 points on that runner, or 120. I can't remember." And he was like, "Dude, just close it out." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm going to hold it to the end of the day because it's going to be 200." And he was like, "Why? Just close it out.
Yeah.
Like, why do you, I mean," and I was like, and I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, "Dude, yeah, it's Monday. I don't even trade that much on Mondays. Like Monday and Friday are my low volume trading days. I make the lowest amount of my money on Mondays and Fridays. I take the lowest number of trades on Mondays and Fridays. I like to ease into it. And so I was like, freak yeah, dude, I'm already 2x my daily goal with the trades I've done today. Why? I don't even want to look at this anymore. I just closed it out."
That's so funny. That's that.
And so you see the post in Discord. I was like, my private risk manager bank said, close the trade. So I'm out here at 800.
It's a great story. Yeah, I see it right here. Close up shop.
Yeah, time to close it up. He said so. And oftentimes he's not wrong often about stuff. So,
right.
And he keeps me in check. But he also is the focal point of this little story that we've weaved in and out of, because it was that phone call in the garage, kind of at rock bottom for me in my trading journey. And he was like, "You can't quit." Like, that's literally what he said. He's like, "You can't quit." And I was like, "Dude, I can't keep going." He was like, "Yes, you can." And I was like, I'm going to keep learning. Like, this isn't me giving up, but for right now, this is me giving up. And all I can do is study and learn. And this is, I don't know why he did this. I don't know of many other people that would have done this. He basically, he was like, "Here, I'll give you a login to an account and you just trade it and don't worry about it."
Huh.
And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, here, I'll cover you. Like, I'll cover you and you just keep trading."
Wow.
He's like, "You've come too far and you're too good to stop now." And I was like, "Yeah, but what proof do you have that I'm good? Like, you've seen potential upside, sure, but like, I can't manage it. Like, I can't keep the wheels on the bus. It all falls apart. I go crazy. I have emotional, turmoil and blow an account up or lose all the money in my personal account. And why would you trust me?" Was what I was thinking. And I don't know if it was like he was just being nice, or
I don't think so.
if he
I think
really
he saw the
did kind of see
potential.
something. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like, he kept me in the game. And if it weren't for that, I mean, sure, it could have worked out in many other ways, I'm sure. But like, the confidence that gave me that I could do it was as important as having an account to trade. When someone else believed that I had what it took, and they were willing to put it and they were willing to go on the hook for me, dude, like, that like kind of gives me chills a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Because you think about life, like anything you're pursuing, you can believe that you got the goods to make it happen, to have, a successful family, or whether it's like, whether it's tied to like a faith or whatever, like you can believe that you're positioned well, or you've got whatever. But when someone affirms that and like, or calls that out in you, or like calls you forward more into whatever that thing is, and they, like, the community, quote unquote, around you believes in you, that like does something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of magical. So,
that I think that you just hit the nail on the head of why a community is so important.
yeah, dude, it was crazy.
But not just any community, though. Not just any community.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you can be in the middle of a bunch of idiots. That won't help at all. But Banks is definitely not that.
Not even that, or people that just or people are focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like when you have people who just, if you all you ever see are winning trades in your Discord,
Yeah.
I think that's a problem or a red flag
Yeah.
because you don't learn.
Do I need to go add some losing trades in my Discord? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. You guys talk about the losses.
We do. I took 2 stops today live on
Yeah,
voice with a room full of people. So
yeah, yeah. And but those are the things. Those are the moments. Those are the things that show people, the struggling trader, that not every trade has to win.
no. Oh no. Yeah.
And that is such a hard thing to get
It
over when
is.
you're learning.
It is. That was a big thing for me though, man, was him believing in me like that. Just that did
Hmm.
something to my tenacity and like my bulldog mentality of making a real consistent long-term profit attainable thing in my trading was him doing that. And then oddly enough as well, him encouraging me to like talk to my wife about it more,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
didn't want to tell her like the downside of stuff until it was like really bad at that time. And in a way, not to like, it was in my mind to like protect her from the volatile nature of trading. Although
That's how you. Yeah, that's
yeah,
how we tell ourselves
yeah.
that we're
But now, like,
justify it.
yeah, at this point, I realized that trading isn't that volatile. Like, yeah, I have some bad days or whatever, but like, it ain't got to be life or death every day. And
Can I give you a secret too?
do what?
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She knows when you had a bad day.
She knows. So, talking to her about it,
My wife is, yeah. That was a that's why I started telling her about every day.
because she
Like, this
knew.
is what I did today. No, because I would do what you did. I'd start to withdraw when I had a bad day or when things didn't go my way,
Mm,
and it would affect our personal
yeah,
relationship.
dude, 100%.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not about that. If trading is going to affect my relationship with my wife, then I'm not going to do it.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, so kind of that also grew then. This connection between my wife and I around this
Hmm.
goal that I had, and her advice, even though she knows nothing about the markets, was so helpful. I'm trying to go over here and make thousands of dollars in a day every day, and she's like, "Babe, like." If you can make
Why?
whatever,
Why?
she would make an arbitrary number. If you make this in like an hour, just be done. Like, let's hang
Yeah,
out. And I'm like, you know what? If you're cool with
that's
that, like, that's really easy. And so
that's
that was huge.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why we dive into this to begin with. We got to
Hmm.
remember that.
Yeah,
Like the whole goal is to be able to stop after an hour when you hit your target and be
dude.
like, you know what? I'm going to go outside and fucking play some golf or
Yeah,
something.
play some golf. That's right. So her being in my corner now is really has huge fruit. Her believing, obviously now by the tangible nature of the benefit that trading is providing for our family, as well as but it wasn't always that way through that time.
Hmm.
And she was down. Like she would oftentimes say, like if I were talking really positive, she would kind of hedge that back to like keep me in check. And then if I was
Yeah, yeah.
talking really negative, she would hedge that as well and like be like, well, now what was yesterday like? Even as
Right,
recently as like
right.
a few weeks ago, I had a day where I just barely escaped green. I mean, like literally with commissions, I think I was green by like $50, which I
I had that week 2 weeks
it
ago, I
was just
think.
a weird day. I don't know. It's like I was just everything I was trying to do seemed awkward. I was feeling those kind of frustrated emotions, kind of like feeling like I'd been in an argument, and I'd taken a few trades, and I was basically at the point where, okay, I'm going to take another trade, or I'm just going to be done, kind of at a break even and just whatever today. And so I was just venting. I was like, "Gosh, man, that was so annoying." Blah blah blah. And she was like, "Why does it matter?" She's like, "You didn't even lose anything." I was like, "Well,
Huh.
it took 45 minutes of my day." And she was like, "Yeah, but like, what did you do last?" She picked a random day, and I was like, "I made this much." And she was like, "So, doesn't matter."
Yeah.
I was like,
It's all
"Dang, you're
it's
really
all
you're really
it's all
awesome."
one pot.
Do what?
That's the thing we have to remember. It's all one big pot.
Yep.
What we do today, what we do tomorrow, that's all cumulative.
Yeah.
No one day, if we do it right, no one day is going to make or break
No one
anything.
trade, no one day. Now, 2 weeks ago, I had the biggest day of 2023. That was fun. That was like Jay Powell's big talking day, CPI or some
Oh,
whatever.
was that the day I was sick?
It was the day you were sick, and I was like, dude, you should have been
Ah,
here because it
yeah.
was just, man, it was really easy. Like it again, when trading feels easy, you're doing it right. Like that day was a breeze, and I was like,
I can't trade those days though.
geez. And normally I'm pretty cautious on news days, but like there was just a couple of perfect opportunities that lined up with the work that I'd done, and I was like, yes, please. And I sized up just a little bit, like, with the size that I normally trade right now, like doubling that position size isn't really a big deal. Like, and then even tripling it is still not really a big deal. Maybe like 4xing it starts to be like, oh, okay, we better pay attention here. But
Right.
if I'm up nicely on a day like that, which normally I would just be done, but I was like, man, I feel so refreshed and chill. Like I'm gonna keep trading and I'm gonna push a little bit. So I like
Yeah.
pushed a little bit and just had a really fun day, and then obviously that made that week like the largest week of 2023. And then the week following that I was really nervous because generally what happens after you
Yeah.
have a great week, you have a terrible one.
Yeah.
And I was nervous about that. Talked to her a lot about that. Talked to Banks a lot about that, and just went into that next week and traded at normal. And we're only a quarter into the year, but
I'll even size down a little bit just so
yeah,
I get back into it.
yeah,
There's
just
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and ended up having my second biggest week of 2023 the week following. So I was like, well, I guess we just keep doing what we're doing. so
Yeah. Yeah. If it's working,
so
keep doing it.
but yeah, that was so pivotal. Him believing in me and sticking with me and encouraging me, and like my wife being a part of it has really kind of, that mental side is really shored up, because I think that as much as I wouldn't want to admit it, that was my biggest problem. It wasn't the
Yeah.
technical, it wasn't knowing stuff. I mean, yeah, like I know more now than I did then, and I'm clear on what makes sense, but that was definitely a turning point.
That's definitely the psychology that I think most of us struggle with.
Yeah. No, it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was so.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
let me interrupt here because we're starting to get towards the end here, and
Oh
we haven't
no.
even had a chance to talk about Vanta.
Oh yeah. Geez, we just talked about
Vanta.
me.
Vanta. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's pivot for
Yeah. Let's
before
do
we
it.
run out of time
Let's do it.
completely.
Let's do it.
Let's like tell me about because I was excited to see you guys carrying on the torch that Flaherty had started
That's
with
right.
YouTrade. I was super sad to see that go away,
I was as well.
but I'm also really happy to see you guys kind of carrying on the torch. So why don't you talk to me about the goals of Vanta? Like what type of person are you should be looking to join your room? How can you help them? Why is it like what are you all about?
Yeah. What are we all? Well, like the story we just talked through.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we're about in one sense.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I would, so when we were doing the other project, uh, I was asked to help out with that, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt it was like kind of an honor, because I don't want to go back to my story part, but like Flaherty has been a big part of my story,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
his
He's been a part of a lot of people's.
his confidence in me, him calling me to more than I was doing, like to be more serious, even as recently as like a year ago, when he was
Mm-hmm.
like, one conversation I'll never forget. He was like, "But how serious are you really?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm about this. Like, I'm." He was like, "Okay, well then, what's your average blah 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 blah?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And he was like, "What's your da 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 da?" And I was like, "I'm not sure." And he was like, "What's your plan for when this happens?" And then, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." He's like, "Yeah, so like, go write it down, like,
Yeah.
get it." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay." So when he asked me to help with that, I was like, "Geez, this is really cool." And I'm like, I'm wired up to want to problem solve and be creative with solutions and have measurables and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of being a part of that project and doing that through trading, after feeling like I've had, some success that's proven over a bigger span of
Longer period
time
of
than
time.
just like
Yeah.
6 months or whatever, that, not just finding a flash in the pan, but, kind of a system, and
Mm-hmm.
having some success. So that was cool. And then as it started to wind down, I was really sad because we hadn't even really begun to dig
No,
into the part of
I
that I was
know.
most excited about, which was providing some content. We created a lot of content, but it hadn't been released. And I was like, man, and then he said, do you want to just keep this going? Under like a different name, or just do your own thing. Like he kind of served it to us on a silver platter. And I was like, dude, I don't know. And so Banks and I talked about it. And we're like, yeah. And so what we're trying to do is take that 7, or let's say that 3.5 year story,
Mm-hmm.
all the screw ups and the frustrations and the mental learning curve and the technical side that was the learning curve, and switch that, and decrease that by
Yeah.
telling our stories in situations in forums like what I'm doing with you now, also just in random pop-up events in our Discord, and through just being on voice, bringing a consistent plan that uses the same charts and the same tools the same way day after day, um, to provide people not with my plan so they go execute my plan, but to show them that if you develop a plan and execute inside that plan every day the same way, like Flary will say a lot of times, just draw a line on the chart and trade it the same way every time, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
find out if you can be profitable. And so like we want to help people expedite that process to becoming profitable, and a lot of it's through modeling live on voice, what that looks like,
Mm-hmm.
both from 9 to about 9:25, doing like a pre-market talk through, as well as on Sundays, or usually Sunday nights, doing a weekly outlook with kind of a larger picture perspective on the edges of the market for the week potentially, and areas that should garner some interest. So, places to sit up in your chair and pay attention as we approach them.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like telling people how I come up with that, like revealing, quote unquote, the behind the scenes, like how do I look at a TPO chart maybe a little differently than someone else? What are the nuanced things that I use to help make my weekly plan or daily plan off that? How do I look at, you know a 4 hour chart or 1 hour chart maybe a little differently than someone else? How do I look at delta in a given area a little bit differently? How do I use it to execute? And my goal is just to answer questions about all of that stuff. But again, not so that somebody can go copy me. The point, like, it's not a trade call out room.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not anything like that. Like it's more, yes, like, will I say when I'm long? Well, sure, especially, but everyone will kind of probably know because I will have already laid out what my plan is. So I'm going to be executing where I said I was going to execute, unless something crazy does or doesn't show up. But that's the point of it, man, is like, model for people what it looks like to
Yes.
be consistent every day, and reveal, like, pull the curtain back. There's no secret, there's no magic sauce, there's none of that. If there is a magic sauce, it's consistently applying a process. And
Mm-hmm.
so we do videos on trade execution, we do trade review videos, we do how to use a TPO chart videos, we do what is delta and why is it important, we do, I mean, just whatever the community might ask for something, we'll do a video on it. Or I'll just randomly get the hankering to do. That's a Southern word, by the way, the hankering.
I know hankering. I
I'll
lived in
get the
Mississippi.
hankering to do something. Yeah, I'll get the hankering to do something, and I'll do a video on it and explain, like, hey, here's something unique about today that I want to go over so that everyone's aware of it. But the point is that people become self-sufficient. And the other point is that if someone else in the room has like a way that they approach the market that's differently or that's different, then they can share that as well. Like, I'm not the only person that makes money every day. There's a lot of great traders in our room. And I think the community aspect is another part that we have seen some benefit
Mm-hmm.
from, that, like, having good minds together. And so we're just kind of that clearinghouse where hopefully it kind of all comes together.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Having people to support you when you're down, and being able to repay that favor to somebody else who's maybe struggling. You can, if you have a group that's not afraid to say, like, "Oh, hey, look, this is the mistakes I think you made here. This is what I would look to improve on," or "Have you considered this idea?"
Yeah.
Or it fucking sometimes it doesn't go your way. Like this is
Yeah,
just
dude, sometimes it doesn't, right?
it's one of those days, man. Don't get depressed. I can shake it off. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think lastly, like, debunking the myth that or the lie that a lot of people believe that you can't make money consistently trading.
Yeah.
Like, I used to feel that way at times. Like, every trade I click, it goes the other way. If I just did the opposite of myself, I would make money.
Yeah, I think
Like,
we've all had that thought. I've actually, I think I tried it once. It also lost.
And somehow it doesn't
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Like we just want to expedite that process. We want to guide people and how to think about the market, how to think about trend, how to think about these concepts, how to have a strong mental approach. We want to teach them about that stuff, guide them in that stuff, help train them in that stuff if necessary, to begin to realize, profitability.
Hmm.
And I mean, we can't, I'm like, yeah, sure, there's no guarantees. I'm not a financial advisor, blah, 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 blah. Like, past performance isn't indicative of future results. All that stuff is true, but
But at least
I can model for you,
you're showing a path, but you're
Yeah.
showing the
Yeah.
whole path. You're showing the warts and the drawbacks and everything that comes with it. You're not just showing the Lambos and the winning trades.
I don't have a Lambo. I drive an F-150.
Well,
So,
you get you a 350 or 550. Then,
yeah, I'm actually looking at a lot of Toyota Tundras right
I
now.
like Toyotas.
Um,
Ever since I watched
yeah,
that Top Gear video of the Hilux getting demolished by them and still driving.
yeah. I'm interested for sure. So, I know we're right up against time. This is the last thing. We
Yep.
were laughing about this earlier, and I didn't get to
Oh
finish
yeah.
finish telling you. So you said what kind of trader would fit in our room? Man, like we're cool with whoever, really. Like as long as you're not like hateful and abusive and
Yeah.
saying terrible things all the time or whatever. Um, you know, but I would say if what we're not like we're much more normal. Like I'm much more normal than the Lambo,
Hmm.
lifestyle 50 G's in cash slinging it in a video. Like I hope that at this point in the video or the conversation, someone could tell
Yeah.
I'm just like a regular dude, man.
Those people are characters. Those aren't the real. I don't think those are
Yeah.
even the real person. I think that's a persona
Yeah.
for the
No.
internet.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It is for sure. So someone said, someone messaged me a while back and they said, they were like, hey, saw you have a room, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, man, sure. And it's very casual to me. I think our room it's not really expensive.
Hmm.
We don't make that much money on it. The more point of it is like, it does take some time for me to make videos. There are some costs with
There's a
it. And
lot of
like,
great videos you put together too.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. I have volumes of videos that I'm still working through to put live. But like, I think it's our like it's I guess at the end of the day, it's our decision, my decision,
Hmm.
Banks and I's decision to have a fee associated with it, and we felt like that was fair to us, so we did that,
Yeah.
right? So sure, we run a room, so everyone on Twitter can hate me. That's fine, but we're regular old dudes, man. We're regular people with normal lives and families and friends. And someone was like asking me all these questions, and they were like, if I adopt your method, how much could I expect to learn? And you know, I know that most people that run rooms don't actually make money from trading. They just make money from subscriptions. And I know that if I need to
Huh.
have a expected R value in terms of how much money I'm going to make if I'm going to follow you and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, what planet are you from? Like,
That sounds like the markets in general aren't for that guy.
dude, so, it was like, I just was like, hey, man, like, I'm just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Like, I will gladly share what I do with you, but I would hope to God that you don't just try to be me.
Right.
You should go be you. Use whatever I do that helps you, that maybe may make you sharper, that you may learn from me in some ways. Take that, apply it, but like you will have to carve your own path. We've talked about this
Hmm.
before. Like there's no subsidizing the desire. There's no subsidizing some of the pain that you have to experience to be successful. There's no way I can take all of that away. I can mitigate
There's
it.
no way there's no way to lose the experience that came along with like
No.
developing it either.
Yeah, no, 100%. So if you're looking for like someone to give you a system of when to buy, when to sell, and all this kind of random stuff, and like whatever, like that ain't me. Like I show my trades, I say them live, I show fills. I got a video that I haven't released yet. I need to. It's called the label of it is 3 strikes you're out, and it's literally 3 full size stops in like the first 15 minutes, and I was just like, guys, I'm done. Like, sorry. Like it was an old video from the other venture, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, and I recorded it, and so I'm like, oh yes, it's a real part of trading. Some
It
days
is.
you just don't have it as good as you want to be. You just don't have it,
Hmm.
and that's fine. So like, we're not perfect. I'm not gonna. I don't have a. I don't have a way to answer questions like that because that's not what we're trying to do. If someone doesn't believe, that I have made money or whatever, like that's to me the same as like walking into a bank and being like, "Do you do loans here?" And the bank's like, "Yeah." And then the bank's like, and then you're like, "I don't believe you do loans here." It's like, okay, well then go to a different bank. Or if they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I bet you don't really have money to do loans. You charge too much interest." It's like, okay, well then go to a different
Yeah.
bank. And that's kind of like probably I'm not a good salesman in that way, but like I care about the guys that are in our room and about helping them, the guys and ladies. But
Well, the person that comes with that mentality, though, how much of a benefit are they going to be to the community?
yeah, man, like yeah, it's like I don't have the time. Like I don't have the time to like pull a grand ruse on everyone. I mean, like it's just like I'm just not. It's not. I'm not interested, right? Like I'm trading, bro. I'm making money. I'm making my deal, doing my thing, and like yeah, just come check it out, hang out, enjoy it.
Takes a special kind of person to put themselves out to the world with a scam. You know,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
two, like, who's gonna stay in the Discord if I'm an idiot
yeah, yeah.
and everything I do is stupid and I don't really trade and I never actually have entries? Like, it would only take, oh, I don't know, like 2 days of that before half the people would be like, "You're crazy," because half the guys in our room are great. I mean, almost everyone in our room is actually good, really good traders.
Hmm.
Some guys are on the front end of that consistency thing, and some are real
I
settled.
think you've got a good mix. You got a good mix of
But
people
yeah,
learning
like
and people who are established.
yeah, there's no getting away with that. There's no getting away with that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, that's what our room is. We're not for that kind of person. We are for like normal humans who are trying to figure this thing out, not aliens.
Right. Oh
So
shit. Well, we just went for over an hour and we never once talked about Delta. And
oh
I think there's going to
no.
be
Well,
some,
you'll have to have me back.
but yes, I think what we should do is an addendum to or an addition to the Back to the Futures with you, and we'll just make
Okay, I'm down for whatever, dude.
a legit dedicated Delta episode. Give you like a month or so to prepare. We'll let the listeners send in whatever questions or things that they want you to touch on,
Yeah.
and let's make a real one out of it.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally down. It's obviously a key part of how I do things, so I would love to get into to the
I
nuances of it.
cannot believe we went this long and didn't even mention it once.
Well, I'm sorry. You probably are aware we've done a couple of things together at this point. I can talk a
Yeah,
lot,
I can
and
too.
that's on me. So, and when you put us together, it seems like we just start talking and forget that we're actually supposed to be like accomplishing what we're supposed to
we,
accomplish.
we we
But
touched most of the things. We had everything except for
yeah,
the biggest one.
yeah, which was a big part of what we were going to do. But we told the story,
Yeah, we
right?
got the
The only
story.
thing we left
That's
out
what
of
I wanted.
only thing we left out of the story was at some point I decided that looking at a bunch of micro caps was really annoying every day, so I switched to futures because
Yeah.
it's the same girl every day, not
Yes.
looking
Oh
for a new
God. Yeah.
girlfriend every day.
Mm. I
So
know that was my realization. It's like I could learn one market and not. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
can't. That's awful. But yeah, dude. Hey, I appreciate you. It's. I know we went for a while. It's an honor, literally, to be on this with you because I mean I dig your show. I listen to you guys all the
Oh
time,
man, that
and super enjoy it. I mean it's literally I'm not kidding. It's like the best. It's the best one out there in my
I'm such a terrible salesperson too.
because you don't take yourself too seriously. You don't take yourself too seriously. You're not weird. You're just regular people. Like I feel like we could just as easily when I'm listening to you guys and I'm driving or I'm like mowing grass or something or whatever, cleaning up in the yard, playing with my kids or watching my kids play. Like I think to myself, like y'all would just be sitting on the other side of
Oh
the patio with me, and we're like having a drink and talking. Like that's what
yeah,
it feels
that
like.
that was exactly the goal.
Well, it's you freaking nailed it. So
Oh, thank you. I never know how to accept compliments. It's always a strange
you
thing
say,
when
yeah,
somebody
I
says,
did
"Thank you,
that.
man. Thank you."
I did that. That's what you
I
say.
did. I
That's
did
right. I
that.
did
God
that.
damn it. Fuck yeah. All right, folks. That's going to bring us to the end of today's episode. I got to say thank you to everyone who stuck around. I know you're probably hoping to hear some discussion on Delta, but don't worry. We will have a full blown episode with nothing but Delta coming up here soon. I'd also like to say thanks to Baba Yaga here for for taking the time to do this and for the fucking kind ass compliments and making me feel better about myself. If you want to check out Vanta or Baba's, you can catch them on Twitter at Baba Yaga _trades. You can check out their website at vantatrading.com. You can check us out at twobullsinachinashop.com. And if you do join our Discord, we do have discount links for those boys over at Vanta. I'm a part of the room. I enjoy the community. I love you guys. I love what you're doing. Can't wait to see what the next step is in your guys' chapter. We'll be back at your ears soon with another exciting episode. But until then, tickle that 5-star rating like your favorite child and take care.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, I heard the kids running around.
Dude,
I had to go
amazing.
with that one.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.
Dude, I could do one of these like all the time. It's so much fun. You're so fun to talk to. You ask the best questions, bro. It's like you've
Thanks.
done this before.